full moon lunar eclipse on May 5th. And that's a very powerful lunar eclipse. I'm going to spend a few minutes on the eclipse May 5th. So it's in Scorpio. It's a south node eclipse. Unlike the eclipse we had last month, which was a north node eclipse, it was leading us toward our future. This eclipse is in a water sign. It's ruled by the planet Mars, which is also in Cancer, a water sign. What does that tell me? That this is a really emotional eclipse that happens on the 5th, right? That's Friday. So when we start to feel that eclipse energy coming in, we're going to get emotional. But we're coming off of Venus square Neptune, so we're a little confused about our emotion. But we're very watery. We're very almost like the ability to wallow in the emotion, but you want to make sure you move forward. So this eclipse comes in. It's at 14 degrees of Scorpio. It's going to give you a glimpse of truth, because Scorpio likes to dig down, think of the scorpion, and come up with the treasure. It's not easy. It's an uncomfortable energy. It's an energy that allows us to see things that can be healing, but yet cry our eyes out about them, or get anxious about them, or be fearful about them. And that energy really combines right now with Pluto retrograde, because when Pluto is retrograde, it brings up a lot of our fear and anxiety. It went retrograde today, which is the 1st of May. That's why over the weekend, a lot of people were calling me and texting me, telling me that they felt anxious, that they just really felt, not good, uncomfortable. That's because Pluto likes to play on our fear. Pluto comes in and allows us to feel the fear so that we have to shed a light on it and illuminate it so that it's no longer powerful against us. Remember, I was talking about those power dynamics. So maybe your power dynamics aren't really about another. Maybe the power dynamics for you in this month, and with all this energy that's coming in, maybe the dynamic for you is a power struggle within yourself over something that you're fearful about. All right. So it could go either way. There's going to be a lot of fear in the collective, a fear in the shadow that we all have of personal issues, and it's an anxious feeling. So when this eclipse comes in, it amplifies that feeling, and it brings a lot of fear to the surface. It's going to do that out in the collective as well. So it's really important to stay in our own lane, have times when we're going into peacefulness and quiet, so that we really are able to better handle the changes and the revelations and the clarity that's going to come over this month and towards the end of the month. So that eclipse comes in, wrote some notes about the eclipse. Let me see what I wanted to talk about with the eclipse. Okay, so the eclipse comes in and it shows us a truth. It reveals something, because that's just what Scorpio eclipses do. Because the South Node eclipse is going to be about our past, this could also play out in a way where something from the past comes in and we have a completely new perspective of it, because that's what South Node eclipses do. They show us a new way to think about things. This brings pain to the surface for healing, all right? And think about it. You want something to come to the surface that's painful so that you can just deal with it, and then you never have to deal with it again. It's when we keep it inside that the pain just keeps getting more intense and more intense. Also, what I was going to tell you is that this is also very tied into the energy of January, February 2022. This last eclipse in Scorpio ends 18 months of eclipse season. So whatever was going on 18 months ago for you, or started to be the issue 18 months ago, now it's coming into culmination. And I'm praying that that's gentle for all of us. It's just an uncomfortable, it's going to bring up memories, that kind of thing. It's a churning, an agitation. We may already be feeling that, but it's happening so that we have to look at something so that our perspectives change. Really, that's what it is. It's like we don't pay attention to something until we're uncomfortable in it. When we're feeling great, we're like, oh, okay, that's good. Yeah, I'm going to go over here. When we're uncomfortable, we're like, I got to take care of this, right? It's like, Cinderella had a great time at the ball until she lost a shoe. Prince had to take care of that stitch, right? So it's kind of like that. Like, we're having a great time, and then all of a sudden something comes to the surface. We lose a shoe. Oh, I got to find that pair, and I got to help myself and find a shoe so I can walk better. And that's kind of like how it happens, all right? So it's old stuff. It's residuals. the ruler of this eclipse is Mars. Mars is in Cancer. I talk about Cancer a lot on the show because we've had a lot of planets in Cancer energy. Cancer is the crab. It likes to go in its shell instead of dealing with stuff. You want to deal with your stuff during this eclipse. It's almost one of your final chances to deal with a lot of the deep stuff that's come out over the last 15 years, over the last 18 months, etc. It's a big eclipse. It's the last in the season. Also, because this energy is so much in water signs with this eclipse coming in on Friday, it's unstable. It's I know that's Cinco de Mayo. You're all going to be out partying, and it's going to be insane. It's a release. It's an energy that can be cathartic. It's an energy that you really want to pay attention to because it's going to reveal your weak spots that you need to shore up. It's unsteady. It's uncertain, and it will make you frustrated. But the silver lining in it all is that this is deeply healing. This is, we're uncomfortable. It's like when you were a kid, if you ever had to get stitches, it was really rough, but those stitches were going to help that wound heal so much faster. So it's the same thing here. We've got to go into the discomfort so that we really heal these wounds. So then after we come out of that eclipse, we have on May 7th, Venus egresses into Cancer. And this is actually good because now we start to get some clarity, especially about the things we love and desire. So, Friday we have that deep dive, and maybe Saturday we're really emotional. And then by Sunday we start to get some clarity. The healing's starting to take place now. Venus goes into Cancer to help us understand and nurture ourselves better. And so now we're going to go to the actual chart of the moment. This chart is actually, I'm recording this at about 8 o'clock on May 4th. So as you can see, where the moon is in Scorpio at 5 degrees, it still has a little ways to go. Here's your moon right over here. And that's at 5 degrees Scorpio. By 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, 11:14 to be exact, on May 5th, the moon will be at 14 degrees Scorpio, directly in opposition to this Taurus sun. That's what makes a full moon. It's a lunar eclipse because we have the moon partially obscured. Remember last month in April, we had a solar eclipse. There's a lunar eclipse. So what makes this eclipse very powerful is several things which I want to point out to you in the chart. First of all, we've got this big red line here from the moon to, I'm going to just highlight it in yellow for you guys right now. From the moon here to this planet Pluto. You can see that yellow mark I'm trying to make. My pen isn't working properly. Let me try a little bit different. Here we go. This big red line here, this is Pluto and the moon are squared. And then, because the sun is in the exact same position opposite, it too is squaring Pluto. So what does that really mean? Well, Pluto is the planet of transformation. It's the planet that digs very deep, just like Scorpio energy, where the moon is, digs very deep to bring up our fears and our shadow, the things that we really don't realize are blocking our spiritual path that we absolutely have to deal with in order to move forward in our lives. So a lot of those things are going to be coming up from the depths in this full moon. And they're doing that so that we can heal them, just like I said previously in the video. But a couple of other things happen that right after this full moon eclipse that really make it an even more powerful eclipse. And one of the reasons why we're going to be so emotional. Over here, where you see this sun, right here at 14 degrees of Taurus, we're going to see that now, right here, the sun is almost exactly on top of that. You see how this planet Uranus says 18 degrees of Taurus and the sun is at 14 degrees? Well, as the planets keep moving, the sun moves much faster than Uranus, so they're actually going to connect. And you can't really see it too much in this particular chart. I'll try and make it bigger for us, where Mercury is right on the other side of the sun. So we almost have what we would call a sun sandwich, the sun sandwich between Uranus and Mercury. What does that mean? Well, the reason why just as this full moon eclipse happens, that's going to make things even more impactful, is because Uranus is sudden and shocking surprises. And Mercury is anything, think the word mercurial, our minds, communication, etc. So I wouldn't be a bit surprised if this weekend we have some shocks and surprises from this full moon lunar eclipse. But because it's Scorpio, which is something that digs kind of deep, and it's Pluto, which likes to crumble structures for transformation, more than likely those revelations or things that are revealed or these surprises that we get may be a little bit shocking, but not surprising, because there are things that we've held deep that we've known are kind of always going to happen, or we suspected something was going to happen. We just didn't know it was going to be in that particular way. So we're a little shocked, but not surprised. And that's what the full moon lunar eclipse has to bring to us. So it's going to be a little bit of a wicked weekend, not for everybody, of course, mostly for us people who have things in Taurus and Scorpio. If you're a water sign, you might be a little emotional. For those of us who have more Pisces energy, you're probably going to feel really good in this energy, or a little bit less intense, because you're trining these planets, which means you're having a good conversation with them. But all in all, this is really all made to let us heal things that are very deeply wounding for us and bring us to a meaningful place. This is also a time when we're supposed to be, or the universe is compelling us or wants us to renew and have different perspectives about other people's projections of us. How do other people project things onto us, their opinions, their conditioning, their restrictions, and how can we live in a more free way and get free of those impediments and those restrictions, those projections that other people put on us, to be more free and more healthy and lead a more spiritual, meaningful life. And know that when we're deep in ourselves, we're really confident and we're really strong and we have ambitions and we know our true worth. So it's really a time where we're probably going to be getting back to ourselves in that regard and developing our emotions more fully to be balanced, and developing our own sense of self to not be so susceptible to those projections that other people put on us. So a deep weekend, but a good weekend. And if you have any questions or comments, put them in the comments below, and I'll try and answer them as soon as I can. Apologize for not being on camera this evening. I am just absolutely toast. This full moon is happening on my Scorpio stellium, and it is pulling all the energy out of me. So hopefully I'll feel better tomorrow, and I'll talk to you guys then. Thanks so much. Have a terrific day. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram at Zenkuda Official and on Facebook at Zenkuda by Georgia Rose. Thank you so much. Good night.